What's going on, people? I am pumped about today. I am so glad you're here. And we've got some exciting stuff happening. What I would really love to see as we move into this day is that as you guys join me, make sure that you tell me if you can hear me or not. In fact, let me check that briefly. Give me 1 second and we'll find out. Pumped about today. I am so glad you're here. All right. And we are live and we are good to go. So, folks, here's the deal. I've got an exercise for us to do today, and what we really want to kind of begin discovering and what the purpose of these Weekend Warrior Fridays are all about is to really kind of end our work week with an idea of how we want to move forward in life. If you're already doing what you love and this is the life that you've set in motion and there's no way that you need improvement in this life, guess what? You don't need me. You don't need this whole thing. But the truth is that our world ultimately begins and ends with our why. If you wake up in the morning and kind of dread the day and what's going to happen and what you have to face that day and what the struggles are, then what you're going to find in that moment is this real challenge, if you will, to just know really how to move forward with your day. By the way, if you're just joining us, go ahead and type your name in below. Let me know that you're here. Would love to kind of connect with you and make sure that we begin a conversation because this is all about us connecting together. So, like I was saying, if you wake up every morning and you kind of dread your day and you really struggle with how to be motivated and to challenge yourself into moving down a path that really creates some powerful moments for yourself that engage you in this world that is all about trying to find a way to discover your true self. If you don't even know who you are, that is what we're here to do today. See, a big why truly when it's really understood, it creates an energy within you. It's a flow. It's something that makes you wake up early. It's that before the alarm clock mentality that just as it's about to go off, you don't even have to hit snooze because you're already up telling it to shut off. Well, I do because I have an Alexa. So it's that thing that wakes you up and gets you ramped up for your day. It comes from that deep connection, that sense of self that we don't always have a real deep connection with because we're so busy. But when we can formulate that and start to put together pieces of the puzzle of our life, then we begin to find that puzzle that's made up of the people and the experiences, the pain, the hurts that are deep within us, those things that truly inspire us and create passion within us. Those pieces of the puzzle, when they're put together, they create within us something that drives us. And many of us have not ever taken time to really formulate what that idea is or what that looks like. But today, that's what we want to delve into. So what I'd like is, as you join this, come into this live, or if you come into it later, take some time and kind of go through this next exercise that I've got set up for you. You can kind of see it in the background here. My coach has taken me and several others through this process. It's a self-awareness process, a self-discovery process, and a way to kind of give yourself a grade, a barometer of sorts that allows you to begin to plug yourself and your life into a mode of growth that really begins to show up as you begin to, discover who you really are. And what PIRE stands for, as you can see behind us, is the physical, the intellect, the relationship, the emotional, and the spiritual elements within you. Now, oftentimes we kind of go through this routine, and this is similar to some of the life cycle stuff that I've seen done in the past, where you've seen, or the life wheel, it's a big wheel that's got these pies on it, that each one you rate them 1 to 10 on how you are in terms of your life satisfaction. It is a piece of the puzzle of life to be able to go through that. And some of the things that might be missing, you might notice, are things like the career choice or the experiences category. And the reason that is held off here is because this is more about the truth of what it is to be a human being. Sometimes we get caught up in the identity of the things in our lives, of the human doings, the things that we do, and we are driven so hard by all those to-do lists and the checking it off and the things that we've got to get done. And they're the things that drive us ultimately to really struggle deeply and with this. It drives us to struggle deeply with ourselves when we don't get those doings done, when we don't get all the boxes checked. And we get sucked into this life sometimes where we are just not going with the flow, but we're constantly feeling like we're trying to swim upstream or row upstream. And we meet roadblocks along the way, and those roadblocks are the pieces of this puzzle that we really want to begin to uncover. So, once again, if you're just joining us, go ahead and type your name in below and let me know you're here. Let me know where you're from. I'd love to keep that connection going, and let's really kind of build up some steam here. Lynn, what's up, brother? I'm so glad you're here. We're in the midst of doing some stuff that's going to be pretty awesome. You've done a life wheel before, I'm sure, Lynn. I know you have because you're part of some brothers of mine. But we're going to do a semblance of that. And so today we're going to be working towards discovering your big why. And so I just want to get started in this right away. And the first thing you're going to have with you during this process is a journal. I got mine. I've already kind of set it up. You can even set it up a little bit like mine where you do the pyres down the sideline. You can write the total, divide by 5, grade. We're going to get to that in just a little bit because it's going to be kind of a cool thing that we're going to discover about ourselves. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through each one of these slowly and spend some time just in some discovery. The first thing we're going to start with is the physical sides of life. So what does that mean? Obviously, we're going to immediately all go, well, do you work out? And yes, working out is definitely a piece of this puzzle. But ultimately, it's about your overall physical well-being, how well you feel like you're taking care of yourself. Are you waking up every morning and you work out? Are you one of those guys that's driven or those gals that's driven every single morning to do yoga or to do some heavy lifting or go run or whatever? And so what we're going to do is you just take your notebook now, and on a scale of 1 to 10, you write down right here. And we're gonna, and my guy's name is gonna be Joe because I've already done this today or this week, but I want to kind of create a balanced view of this thing. And Joe's a guy who desires deeply to work out hard, but he's one of those guys. He's like, I'm gonna do it 5 times a week, but he gets like 2 in every single week. So we're gonna give Joe a 5 for a desire to grow and go big in life, but physically he's still struggling. And this also has to do with your eating as well. What you put into your body, what you take in can have a great impact on how you feel. Do you feed your brain with brain foods that are healthy, avocados and eggs and nuts and coconut oils, that kind of stuff? Do you really take time? So go ahead and put that down, 5. So. And if you would, if you're as you're joining or as we're going along this process, just take a second and type it in below. Tell us what is that? What did you rate yourself with? What number between 1 and 10 did you rate yourself with? I'm gonna write mine down again a little bit better. It was kind of messy. The pen didn't work. All right. So next we've got the I for intellect. Now, intellect is one of those things that it's not about your smarts. It's not about how smart you really are. What we're really looking for here is how dedicated are you to pushing yourself to the next limit. This could be anything from reading books, listening to podcasts, watching good videos, not just the stuff that waste our time on a day, although those are kind of fun too, but really spending some time taking notes, drawing in good information about how to improve on life, how to empower yourself to a greater level of existence. So go ahead and write that down here. And I've already forgot my guy's name. I think it was Rob. We're going to go with Rob again. We're going to go with Rob just in case. How do you forget a guy's name that you made up? So Rob has got literally, Rob's my coaching's name. Hi, Rob. Yeah, that's for you. So Rob is going to be at an intellect level. Well, man, he's a pretty smart guy. He's definitely got it together, and he's going to have an A. That means every day he's dedicating himself to some intense study. He's got time set aside, time blocked. So go ahead and right this moment, go ahead and type in below what your number is, because I think this is going to be one of those things that you're going to want to come back to this and take a look at it at a later time. So, hey Denise, is Joe was his name? Oh, we're going to go with Joe. We're going to go with Robbie Joe now. So we'll do that. So, so intellect, if you would, go ahead and type in your number for intellect. I've got an 8. You can see here, we're moving forward. Robbie Joe is going with a 5 and an 8 so far. The third piece of this is going to be your relationships. Now, this one's key because while it's all truly, we're really trying to become self-aware, the truth is that we only can understand ourselves in contrast to those that we surround ourselves with. The people in our lives that ultimately bring into us goodness or maybe anger or some negativity or things that don't necessarily benefit us. We want to kind of look at that and see, how often are you spending time with those kinds of people? How often are you going to lunch or going out on the weekends with people that build you up, that encourage you, that really challenge you to be the best you possible? And so here we're going to go with the relationships and take a good minute to think about this, because at the core of our existence, we really aren't just an individual self. We are a collective whole living in this physical reality together. We all breathe in the same air. We all are connected to the same nature, Earth and Mother Earth. We're all connected to God, this thing that created us. And if you don't believe in God, that's okay, because the truth is, there's something bigger than you, and that thing that's bigger than you, the unexplainable, the things that we can't nail down, that's God, a higher power, something driving this boat. So, Robbie Joe, now fully known by first and middle name, is going to be, his relationships have been suffering lately. He's not down in the dumps, but he's definitely going to be around a 6. So go ahead, type below, type in your number, put down a 6 there, and or not a 6, but I would put down a 6 there, for example. And now let's move to the second one, emotional well-being. And so the E in emotional, the E, I'm going to get there. The emotional aspects of our life obviously are driven by so many things in our lives. Some of us really have a huge we take in all the information and we let so much of the information impact us. Negativity from the news, negativity from the movies we watch, the violence that we take in, our outlook on life. There's that's down at the baseline of 1 or 0, if you will. And then there's all the way to 10, which is that you really are fully alive, that you truly are connected to the source, that you really have this energy about you, that when people see you, they always see a smiling face. So we're going to go here and we're going to look down here at Rob, and Rob's been struggling a little bit, and he's definitely not been high on life, if you will. So Rob's going to settle in around a 4 today, and man, we're gonna. It's okay if it's okay that Rob. I'm forgetting Robbie Joe's name. Robbie Joe is struggling, and he's really trying to begin to uplift his life. That's why he's here. So. And the fifth and final column is one that many people in our world, it drives them crazy to even begin to talk about. And that's the spiritual side of you. The reality of our existence is that it's temporary. We're only here for a time. Most of us are going to pass away, from what I've heard. I mean, maybe I think 99% was the study done at Texas A&M. Oh, that's a horrible joke. No offense, Aggies. I love you all. But at this point, we know that we're all going to die. And so there's something in my life, and what I believe truly is connecting me to at a deeper level. For you, maybe it's your church life. Maybe it's your life as in your culture. It's ingrained in who you are. This prayer that you pray, the times of days where you take time to be mindful. Maybe you meditate. Maybe you spend a great deal of energy really connecting, not just to yourself, but to the fullness of things around you, to the people, to the life, to the things that are building up that are growing in our world, the trees, nature. This is where we're at now. And so for me, it's Christ consciousness. I seek to dive in deep and really connect to the Christ consciousness that was born from God, this idea of the thing that started with a word, let there be. So for me, but I'm not talking about me. Sorry. Robbie Joe is he's a deeply connected spiritual guy, but he's really been struggling lately because he hasn't really had a community to surround himself with. So we're going to go ahead and give him a 7. And as we take these numbers, what's important about these numbers is and this is where it gets really, really exciting, is that we want to take all these numbers and we're going to kind of add them all up. So go ahead and begin doing that. Oh, and don't forget, go ahead and add your number for spiritual and maybe for emotional if you didn't do that as well. But go ahead and add those all up, because when you add these numbers up, we're going to take some and we're going to do something with them that's going to be very, very insightful for your life. So take a second, pause the video if you have to, or if you're here now, go ahead and add up the numbers. Let's see. Let me. I'm going to have to do some math in my head while also paying attention here. So we're going to do this. 1 second. So we got 5. That's 19. 3. All right, so as of right now, Robbie Joe's got 30 points. So I'm going to take that number and I'm going to write it. I actually wrote it in the wrong spot. And I'm going to write it right there in my journal by total, all right? And then we're going to take that total and we're going to divide it by 5. You guessed it, there's reason why. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, divided by 5. So thankfully, we hit 30, and so it's easy to divide that, and it is going to put me at a 6, number 6. Go ahead and type in your number down at the bottom. Go ahead and fill that out and put in 6. If you're a 6 or higher, your number, there's no judgment here. Doesn't matter if it's a 1, doesn't matter if it's a 0, doesn't matter if it's a 10. We're going to discover some things about ourselves. And now what I want you to do is I want you to add, if you had a 6, I'm going to put a 6.0 there just because we're going to take that. And I want you to move the decimal just to the right. You can see my little arrow there. And I want you to take that number and write it under the grade. There we go. 60. So Robbie Joe has got a 60. And if I don't know where you're coming from, but if you're from here in the United States, let me explain our grading systems here. An A would be 90 to 100. A B would be an 80 to 89. A C is going to be a 70 to 79. And a D is going to be a 60 to 69. There is no E for whatever reason. I mean, it's so strange. We have a grading system that skips a letter. Doesn't make any sense to me. But then everything else would be considered an F. Now, wherever you land on that scale, it doesn't matter, because that's why we're here. And so what we can see here is that we've got Robbie Joe at a 60, which puts him right at around a D in life. Now, this is an amazing discovery because it gives us a good baseline for where to start in this life. So when we come into this and we begin to develop an understanding of kind of where we are, a grading system of sorts, we begin to discover something in ways about how we can move forward. So if you're just joining us, go ahead and type your name in below and let me know that you're here and let me know where you're from. And I'm going to strongly encourage you to go back later on and watch the beginning of this video because it's amazing. But go ahead and stay around for now. I'll give you a quick rundown. We're working on the pyres. We're working to discover our why and who we are and why we are here and what drives us. This isn't just a purpose statement of sorts. This is about so much more than some simple purpose statement. It's really about, pardon me, I gotta mute myself here. There we go. And so what we've really got to work, oh, hi, hun, it's my wife. She's here supporting me. How sweet. Thank you. That was weird. Thank you. Oh, that's cute. See, I got a good relationship. My relationships are better than Robbie Joe's. So anyways, so here we go. Where was I? Oh, back to the next step. So now that we know and have a baseline, and Robbie Joe's is a 60, as we saw, we're going to take that and we're going to then go back through and do a little self-challenging. We're going to create some action items based upon our time of reflection. Now, you see what happened there? Is we didn't just jump into making a plan and going at, well, I know that I've got my physical condition, I got to fix it. Boom. And then I'm going to work out 5 times a day, and not having a why. But instead what we did is we kind of put ourselves in a position where we began to kind of reflect on our situation in each of those categories. And that's a beautiful thing, because that then allows us to create a stronger why as to what we are really wanting to do with our physical, intellectual, relational, emotional, and spiritual walk, if you will. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go through this. And what I want you to do is I want you to ask yourself these questions as we go through it, starting with physical. What is the one thing, and the only one thing, that this week that you can do to begin to reshape your physical grade? And what our goal is here, mind you, is that we're not looking to increase it all the way to a 10. What we're looking to do is just to increase ourselves incrementally. And so if we can just increase ourselves by 1 point in each of these categories, or a couple of these categories, we're heading in the right direction. So wherever you're at, what I want you to do is take some time and just go ahead and reflect on this and begin to ask yourself, what's one thing you can do in the physical realm? Now, I actually should say, before we go down that path, the one critical piece to all of this is that there's reactions sometimes to our grades. Like, when I was in student school, I kind of got used to C's, So when I got a C, I was just like, oh man, that's so good. But I always wanted to do better. But some people really react and they can't stand it. They get angry about it. Sometimes the result is one of getting pissed off about life. The second reaction that we get sometimes is one of sadness, of disappointment in self. We kind of start to harp on ourselves and beat ourselves down. But get this, you're here. There are many people out there who are living in that victimization of their life, but you are here. And you are working to see what you can do to begin to create something new for yourself. And then the third thing that some people do is they begin to feel hopeless. And the building blocks of life are not hopelessness, it's hope. And so we are living into that hope by even being here, by simply discovering and being honest and truthful with ourselves. We begin to find ourselves at a place where we can begin to make changes, to take action, to set things in place. So we're going to get back to the little exercise where we're going to ask ourselves, what is the one thing you can do in each of these categories? The first question is, what can you do in your physical world in creating a better physical health? We're not talking about necessarily creating some, clean cut, V, if you will, on your back, or big biceps, or thin waistline. No, we're talking about how can you be physically healthy? How can you truly feel good? How can you make the physical reality of your life feel better than it does today? Go ahead and type that in below as you come along this journey and tell us, what is that one thing that you're going to do in the physical world? The next one is the intellect. And in your intellect, what are you going to do to shape and reshape your intellectual endeavor? How are you going to grow yourself? How are you going to begin to put into your brain the things that it needs to know in order for you to begin to build a plan that's ultimately going to help you capture a deeper vision of what your why is and what's driving you in this life? That intellectual capacity, what is it that one thing that you're going to do starting this week and moving forward? The one key to this also is to be very specific. So when you're talking about doing intellect, don't just say read more or spend more time in watching videos that are good for me. No, be very specific. How much time are you going to spend reading? How many books are you going to read this week? How many videos are you going to watch? How many podcasts are you going to listen to? Now, let's move on to the third thing. The third thing is our relationships. What one thing this week can you do that would improve upon your relationships? Whether that's reaching out to friends you haven't talked to in a while, or spending more time with your family, your kids, quality time, that is, the time where you begin to ask new questions. By the way, this is a great exercise to take your family through, to walk them down this process, because guess what? We get to come back to this later and revisit it. And let me just tell you, it will change the shape and values of your family systems when you begin to care about each other at this level. So what is that one thing you're going to do for your relationships? Go to lunch with somebody this week, and who is that person? How many people? The fourth thing is your emotional well-being. What are you going to do this week to take care of your emotional well-being? How are you going to build a space for yourself? Maybe it is creating that physical space where you know you can go and it's your safe zone. Maybe it's getting out in nature. Maybe it's something, I don't know. Maybe you're going to go take some time and meet with that counselor because you've really been challenged with life and you don't know how to get out of the stuckness of your life. Maybe it's that you're going to participate in your community more and find ways of finding people that can be supportive of that emotional well-being in your life. I don't mean go to the neighbor and dump on them. I mean going into your neighborhood and getting to know what's going on in your neighborhood, the thing, and how you can contribute, because those things help us build our emotional well-being. When we contribute, contribution is huge in our emotional well-being. So go ahead and write that down. Go ahead and type that in here when you get the opportunity. And the fifth thing is our spiritual well-being. Now, what can you do in order to be able to create a space for yourself where you know that you can go to this space and it's a holy ground, if you will. It's a space where you can truly be centered in on who you are and radiate from their love into the lives of others. Now, if you don't know how to do that, that's okay. But these are the things that we're going to work through. What one thing can you do this week? Maybe it's serving in a ministry at your church. Maybe it's serving your community again, but doing it at a level where you're meeting people at their deepest needs, where they really need growth, and you're connecting with them and you're sharing and being transparent. Transparency is a great way to discover your spiritual self. And that spirituality will birth from within you something that will connect you in community. And that is so critical, because you can't truly have a connection with something bigger than yourself without community. It's very, very challenging. So beginning to share that and talk about more deep things rather than just talking about the ball game. Not that the ball game is bad to talk about, but not just talking about the ball game or going into all the things that that's going on in your son's life or your wife's life or your whatever, but instead ask questions that get to the root of who a person is. Ask them what drives them. Ask them, what is your big why? Why do you do what you do? And begin to discover in them connections that are much deeper than we currently try to go after in our relationships. But at a root, that will be very spiritual. Oh, I thought I turned off my... Gotta love the phone. So that's the next thing. And so now what we're going to do from here is we're going to take all these things and we're going to create a building block for this week. We're going to create a master mission for your week. And so what I want you to do is I literally want you to take and I want you to write down all of the things in one sentence. We want one sentence that's going to say, this week, I commit to working out 3 times and eating healthy and reading 3 books, going to lunch with 2 of my closest friends and taking my son out. It's a long run-on sentence, I get it. And then, spending some time in focusing in on forgiveness, forgiving the people that have hurt me in my life, and spending time in communion with my church or with my community and doing the things that help us grow. That's a horrible way of putting it, but we got to deal. That's what it is. And we're going to be specific in those in that. We're going to put numbers. I wasn't very specific in my last one, but we're going to put numbers down. We're going to put a measuring stick, a model down that we can follow, something that we can stick to. And then from there, we're going to build on that this week. And that's where you're going to come in to play with these wonderful things we call stickies. So what I'll encourage you to do is take these stickies and write that mission statement for this week down. You can reframe it. You can not reframe it. You can, because you don't want to put it in a frame because it's not in a frame, but you can look at it, rewrite it, kind of redo it so that it's something that you feel good about, something maybe that you can memorize this week, but place it on several sticky notes and put it all around your home. Put it on your mirror where you get ready for work. Put it in your the place where you spend time really connecting at a deeper level in meditation. Put it in your workout, in your gym, wherever it is that you're going to be, on your computer screen. Put it where you'll see it on a regular basis. Read it when you wake up. Read it when you go to bed. And you'll be amazed at how when you spend some time starting and spending time with the statement, with the mission statement alone, reading it alone, creates an awareness within you that awakens within you something that is going to build. And here's the great news, is that next week, if you will do the same exercise and come back through and grade yourself again, put your ratings up there, and you can increase that. I mean, by just 1 point in every category, you're going to increase. So we're at let's say Robbie Joe's at a 60. If he increases by 5 points a week, we're only talking about another 6 weeks before he's at an 8. Not even 6 weeks. We're talking about another 4 weeks, and he is at. My math is awful. See, I failed. It is 6 weeks, and then he'll have an A. So we're going to take that, and we're going to begin to be able to formulate and see our growth along the way. And we want to share that in this community. We want you to come back here in a week, and I want you to begin to nail down on this post. Go ahead and share that new number. Share the process. And I actually want you to share a couple things. I want you to share with me let me go here. I had a note for this. I want you to go ahead and put in this week. Give us your mission statement. This week I will. And then I want you to put your the goal that you might have set for yourself that week in terms of each of those categories. And then what we really want to do is we want to raise that awareness to that connection within you. And so what we'd like to do is see what your grade was this week and compare it to what your grade was the following week. So mark your calendars and come back to this space or anytime whenever you finally watch this. It could be that you're watching this in a month from now. And when you do, coming back and then a week later, putting in that grade. Because I think there's something about being in community that will create that accountability for you. And so what we're going to do to kind of wrap up things today is I really want you to give me the opportunity to know what your number one takeaway was from today. Go ahead and down below in the messages, leave a comment that tells me what the number one thing, the one key takeaway that you've come with from this week. And I want you to remember the assignment. Come back in a week. Share your numbers with us. Share what it is how you've experienced growth. Share your success with us. And what we're going to do next week when you come back, and I hope you'll join us, is that we're going to key in on connecting this whole process kind of to our big why. What is it that really drives us? What is it that really makes us tick? And I think we're going to find that as we spend time in an awareness of who we are and an awakening of those things that inspire us, that we're passionate about, and connecting with some time where we maybe focus in on that pain and hurt of our life and begin to forgive others, and we begin to really experience the life around us and see things differently because we're constantly looking for ways that we can improve in these certain areas. And then beginning to surround ourselves with people who support us. Guys, that's critical to this success. And so we want this community to be that for you. We want to see you grow in this community in a way that is empowering and builds on life for you, that this life, my life, begins to be more connected to those who are external from here. And we get to feel that energy and that connection more fully. And we truly can find accountability when we just simply, are here. We show up. So if you're watching this, I appreciate you. Thank you for showing up. Denise, Lynn, I know you didn't stick around, but I still love you. Heatherly, excuse me, as always, my heart, you're my heartthrob. You're my love. I appreciate you. And I look forward to seeing you guys next Friday. And we'll get going from there. So, love you all. Have a wonderful day and get connected to that why. Love ya. Peace.